Welcome back, friends. iRelat here with a story about a girl who thought she found her dream man in Europe until she discovered he had a very loving relationship, we'll say, with his sister. So she says, I know this sounds ridiculous, but listen before you call me insane. I'm writing this because I can't sleep. I've dated him for about a year. He's Italian and I'm an American student in Rome. Looking back, there were signs early on, and I took all of this as cultural at first. On one of our first dates, we were talking about our families, and he showed me a picture of his sister and raved about her beauty. She is actually gorgeous. She's a classic Italian beauty and very chic. I was jealous of her then, but had no idea where this was gonna go. I've only been around her a handful of times, but she's made it clear that she does not approve of us dating. She's icy, distant, and hostile. She said in front of me that he should be with an Italian. She speaks several languages, including English, but every time I've tried to talk to her in English, she replies to me in Italian. She'd say, "You're in Italy, speak Italian," and once told me he'll be gone soon. My boyfriend is openly affectionate with her. He dances with her and whispers in her ear, kisses her cheek and the side of her mouth, hugs her closely, and every time I've seen them together, he's brought her a nice gift. People here are generally affectionate, but everything combined is off. I don't know. It sounds to me like this girl's just jealous of her boyfriend's younger, smarter, more attractive sister who doesn't like her. She even admitted that she was jealous of her. And jealousy can make people think and do crazy things, but I guess we'll have to see where this goes. So she says, once at a family dinner, I was helping his mom with the food and he and his sister went out on the patio. I looked out and she was sitting on his lap. What sister does that? I've also seen her caress his bare chest hair at the beach. This same time at the beach, he carried her in the water with her legs wrapped around his waist and his hands were practically on her bum. If they did this when they thought I couldn't see, then what do they do when they're actually alone? Why would they think you couldn't see if you were right there on the beach? I don't know if I'm buying this girl's story. And also, that time she was sitting on his lap, they were at their parents' house, right in front of everyone, so it's not as if they were trying to hide anything. You'd think that if they were actually up to something weird, they wouldn't be so open about it in front of everyone. Unless they're just so weird that they can't help themselves. But who's attracted to their own sister? And if they're doing all this weird stuff, wouldn't their family members be like, what the fudge? He's also gotten into a physical fight with her boyfriend, but I'm not sure what that was over. Okay, well that could have been about anything. Earlier tonight my feelings got worse. He never leaves his phone sitting around, but he did this time, and he got a message from her that I looked over. She said, "My heart is yours, my king, and we were made for each other." To clarify, this is a translation from Italian. I left without telling him. He blew up my phone, and I have no idea what to say to him. We've had the best relationship, but this cannot be normal, can it? I'm sick to my stomach and feel mortified thinking about it. This story's funny to me because I actually dated an Italian girl once and I had the same feeling about her and her little brother. She wasn't actually from Italy, she was Italian American, but they had what seemed to me like a weird relationship and they put out this strange vibe that kinda creeped me out. Just like what this girl's describing, we'd go on double dates and my girl would hate on every girl he went out with. But I just assumed it was one of those things like an overprotective parent thinking that no one's good enough to date their kid, because this was her younger brother after all, so I figured she was just being the concerned older sister. They did some other creepy things that I can't even remember now, but I just assumed that they had a close Italian family, and since I don't have a sister, they had some kind of bond I didn't understand. And I kind of feel like that's what's happening in this story, because the girl who posted this claims in the comments that she's an only child. And she's talking about a family from a different culture, so maybe the cultural differences and her jealousy is just getting to her head. I mean, the chest hair thing is kind of weird, and the wrapping her legs around him, but even the girl who posted this said his hands were almost on her bum. She doesn't say that he straight up grabbed it, so I'm thinking she's just letting her imagination run wild. As far as the text messages, that does seem kind of strange, but she said she translated it from Italian, so maybe something got lost in translation. But she has more to say in the comments. So she says, "A few things worth noting that I didn't include in my original post. She wears a locket with a photo of them in it. She was sitting across from me at dinner and opened it and gave me a taunting look. At the time, I didn't want to call her out and look crazy, but now I think she definitely was trying to rub it in my face." Also, not only was she sitting on his lap, but she was looking into his eyes and twirling his hair. I also saw him kiss her on the neck and near her ear. It was super smoochy, but to me it seemed like a weird place to kiss a sister. I mean, that extra stuff does sound weird, but again, we're hearing things from her perspective and she could be letting her imagination run wild from jealousy. She also says that he's 25 and she's 21. So there are a lot of women in the comments saying that they have older brothers and all of this sounds really weird to them. And they would probably have a more valid opinion on this topic than I would. There are also a lot of people bringing up the point that I made about his family and what they think about all of this weird behavior, which she responded to by saying, "I've gotten that question a lot. If their parents are concerned, they didn't make it known to me, but I'm an outsider to their family, so that's not surprising. I don't really think he was in love with me. He never looked at me like he does her. It's hard to explain, but there's something so passionate in the way he treats her that I never got from him." Okay, so people ask about what the family thought, and she goes into talking about how he treated his sister better than her or looked at his sister in some way that he never looked at her. This just leads me more into believing she's jealous. I mean, did you ever consider that maybe he just loves his sister because it's his family and he's not really that into you? And maybe there's something about you which is why his sister didn't like you either. I mean, I could be wrong about this specific situation, but this is something that a lot of women do because they can't handle rejection. They had to come up with any wild reason why a guy doesn't like them other than the fact that they just aren't worth liking.
He must just be emotionally damaged. He's probably just secretly gay. I think he's in love with his sister.
Girls say this kind of thing about guys who don't give them as much attention as they'd like all the time. They just can't fathom the idea that a guy doesn't love them as much as they feel they deserve to be loved. And I'm getting the feeling that that's what's happening here. Although if those text messages really do say what she claims they did, that is kind of weird. But she actually posted a follow-up, so she says, "People have been asking me for an update, so here it is. The response to my post made me feel confident I wasn't wrong about them, so I eventually messaged him and broke up. The response from a bunch of Redditors who are probably in their teens and only heard your side of the story? That makes sense. I didn't confront him about his sister because I wanted to part ways smoothly. Once I asked him why she hates me and he told me not to talk about her, so I don't think he'd react well." That's always a weird thing when you mention a family member of somebody you're dating and not even in a negative light, but for some reason they flip out as if you insulted them. Like you're dating a girl who acts nutty and you say, "Wow, I can see now why your son doesn't want to spend time with you."
Never speak about my son.
Okay, I was insulting you, not your son, but whatever. So she says, "My fake reason for ending it was that there's no future for us since I'll be going back home and he'd never leave his country." Isn't that just a legit reason for ending it? He proved he didn't care about our relationship because he didn't fight for us at all. Oh, I've heard that line before.
You're not even fighting for us. You don't even care.
Yeah, I don't care. He replied with a thumbs up. He might know that I saw the messages. No, he just doesn't care. It was exciting to be with him because he's so different from what I'm used to. Different in that he was the only guy you ever dated who was in love with his sister. But I was never going to be as special to him as his sister. Not even close. Good lord. The jealousy is just seeping from this woman. I believe the suggestions from commenters that I might have just been a cover. Here we go. You were a beard for his unnatural relationship? They always go there. I wish I could link her Instagram because they went out together last night and she seems happy. I've unfollowed them both. Why would she not look happy? She's having a nice night out and posting pictures on Instagram. People don't typically post miserable pictures of themselves. Also, I took the suggestion to watch Crimson Peak. That was triggering. What is Crimson Peak? Some type of Twilight garbage with incest? One more thing I want to say. I know that my post focused on her being petty and taunting, but I don't want to come across like I think he's innocent and she's a Jezebel. I saw him initiate most of the romantic moments. Thanks everyone for the encouragement. I still am creeped out and I feel used, but I'm glad to be free of them. Whatever is between them won't be hovering over me anymore. You feel used? See, there it is, people. She was in love with him, but he just saw her as some temporary American fling. His sister even knew this, and that's why she said the girlfriend would be gone soon. And that's why he didn't care and just gave her a thumbs up when she said peace. But instead of coming to terms with reality, she makes up this wild scenario in her head to cope. I guarantee it. So this point was actually going to be the end of this video, but once I was finished, I went back through the comments and saw this. Somebody asked her if they were ever intimate, and she says, "We were, but not super often because I didn't see him more than 2 times a week since he's always busy. When it happened, it was always in my bed, never his. He also always used protection even though I'm on birth control, which made me feel a little confused because I thought we were in an exclusive relationship." Oh, you're confused, all right. It's official, people. My suspicions have been confirmed. Just like I figured, she thought they were in a serious relationship, whereas he just saw her as some side piece he was having over a couple of times a week. That's why he was insistent on using protection to make sure he didn't get her pregnant, and why he was always quote-unquote busy. And I can't say for sure, but the fact that he only wanted to hook up at her house probably had something to do with it too. Like he didn't want to leave any evidence behind at his place or something. But what's your opinion about the situation? Is this guy gross or is she coping? Tell us in the comments, and thanks for subscribing, clicking like, or sharing this video. If you want to contact me, info's in the description. Definitely check out the rest of the channel, and I'll see you there. Peace.